Hello all YouTubers, I am the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for tuning back into this Invest 95L discussion for June 22nd, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, I would ask that every single one of you please smash that subscribe button and ring the bell notifications. Thank you guys so much for 600 subscribers. Let's get to our next goal of 700 subscribers and to our next long-term goal of the big 1,000. So please smash that subscribe button and ring the bell notifications, as well as watching the whole video. Both of these things really do support my channel, and watching the whole video, it's a win-win. You get the best part of the content, and I get the watch time, which I really do need for my channel. And please also like and share this video. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. Breaking news, Invest 95L is now jumped to a 40% chance of development. Yes, guys, we are talking about Invest 95L today. I believe it was yesterday evening. As soon as I did the video on this tropical disturbance, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, chances of development were about 10-20%. It jumped to 40. Then this morning it's back down to 20. Now it's back to 40 again. So Invest 95L does now have a 40% chance to develop within the next 48 hours, because after 24 hours, this thing's not going to have a chance to develop. It is now moving over those warm waters of the Gulf Stream. It has been for quite some time. All right, the storms getting better organized last night. Then they got a little disorganized this one. Now it's reorganizing again. This is as of the latest 2 o'clock update here. All right, it's moving over the warmer waters of the Gulf Stream. We're talking about warmer waters even in the low 80s. All right, so this is a non-tropical low. All right, it's a well-defined low pressure system. It's 320 miles southeast of Cape Cod, Massachusetts. It's becoming better organized, all right? But today's the last day. If this doesn't form by tonight, it's not going to form at all, because by Tuesday, it's already starting to move over colder waters, and it's not really going to develop. But this could be a short-lived, maybe for a few hours or 12 hours, a subtropical depression or subtropical storm could even form later today. Remember, guys, the 40% chance means that we have a 40% chance to see a subtropical depression or a storm. Just because it says 40% doesn't guarantee you a tropical storm, all right, or a subtropical storm. That's just giving you the chance of subtropical depression, and then we could also see a subtropical storm form with that. So here's Invest 95L. It currently has sustained winds of 35 miles an hour. I will be showing you satellite loop as well. All right, 1,009 millibars of pressure. All right, its radius of maximum wind is 60 nautical miles, and its radius of circulation is 180 nautical miles. So it's pretty well defined. It's not a huge broad area of low pressure. It's pretty well defined. Take a look at this. It's really starting to get, you really can see the circulation starting to really kick back here. All right, so we see the circulation. We do have some decent bands developing around it. This is a perfect example of a subtropical storm or depression, and I think that it could form later today if the conditions do come together. We had just the right conditions here. All right, so right now the storm is sitting right about here, I'd say. All right, it's moving over some waters that are 3, 4, even 5 degrees, 3 to 4 degrees Celsius above average, which is absolutely sick here. That's why this really has a chance to develop, and that's about, I say the waters are about 6 to 8 degrees above average Fahrenheit. So if our water temperatures are normally 70 degrees, right now they're about 76 to 78. So extremely above average, far above average ocean temperature anomalies here. And where the storm is moving over right now, the waters are just above 80 degrees. So that's why it does have a shot. All right, and even after it leaves the 80 degrees, once it leaves like this area of green and teal, it has no chance, because then the waters fall into the 40s and 50s after that. So then it really has no chance. But for now, it is moving over water temperatures of upper 70s to low 80s. So it definitely, because it's moving over that warmer patch, it does have a shot. All right. Let's look at where the surface low is currently. Let's give it a little refresh. All right. Nothing really changed. The low is currently sitting at about 66 degrees west and 38 degrees north by rough estimate here. All right. Again, 320 miles southeast of Cape Cod. If you look at the tracks, again, all the models do agree that it's going to be tracking probably near Newfoundland here, away from Nova Scotia, but we still see some waves for Nova Scotia, but it will be making a closer pass to Newfoundland than it will be Nova Scotia. It'll be bending more towards the north and eventually cutting back east again, but the storm will probably be dying by then anyway. In terms of the GEFS tracks, all right, here you go, strengthening right here. Here's where it strengthens. The models do strengthen over the next 12-24 hours, and then it weakens again beyond that. But this is where you would see your potential development when the pressure starts dropping a few more millibars, and that's our little shot of development here. But other than that, regardless of development, there will be some rain and wind, probably for Newfoundland. Maybe the easternmost points in Newfoundland could even see a little bit of rain, Probably some gusty winds, but probably for, like the coastal northeast. But I would say more so Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. We could even see some bigger waves, and that's probably the main threat here. However, the GEPS tracks, some of them actually do show a Newfoundland landfall as a potential subtropical depression or subtropical storm. Again, pressure could even be dropping. It could even maintain pressure of 1,005 to 1,010 millibars, which is somewhat of a subtropical depression or subtropical storm. Even one bullish model even takes up to Greenland there over 5 days. That'd be pretty interesting. But overall, the models do very well agree that this will be making a little bend to the north, and it will turn back to the east again, and it will be trekking out to sea, but making a very close pass to Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Alright, here's our intensity guidance for Invest 95L. For some reason, one model, the COTI, which is usually a crazy model, drops it all the way down to basically nothing and shoots back up. Alright, but no. What's probably going to happen is, if it does develop, few models do develop briefly a subtropical storm status, and they drop it again. But actually, most models don't even really develop it as a tropical storm, but this could also become a subtropical depression. Who said it had to be a subtropical storm? But the chances are definitely there for a subtropical storm. Alright, let's look at the ship's diagnostic message. And again, wind shear for right now. Why does it have a best chance of developing now? Well, it could be, here's the, just kind of like the GFS version of it. Here's where 6 to 24 hours, there's your tropical. After that, it's going to become extra tropical. So that's why it has a little window of development. Also, right now, that's when a wind shear is at its lowest, because we know wind shear is bad for hurricanes. And after that, the wind shear is going to start strengthening. Not bad. Still 20 knots. It's not horrible, but it's better because the wind shear is actually lower now than it will be later. Also, the ocean temperatures. We could even briefly jump to near 80 degrees ocean water, all right, over the next few hours. All right, this is from the 8 o'clock this morning. This is the latest one they had, I believe. All right, and then the ocean water will probably drop after that. All right, so let's look at the storm speed. Won't be moving too fast. I mean, 3 to 9 knots. I mean, that's about, 10 miles an hour. Then the storm really speeds up once it starts dying. All right, it really just once it speeds up, get its life over with. Yeah, moving about 30, 35 miles an hour after that, so pretty fast. But that's the thing, though. That's why it's going to become subtropical. Even though the waters happen to be near 80 degrees, we don't have that, that upper ocean heat content. We don't have that subsurface heat. The heat content values are near 0 the whole way through. Maybe 2 to 5 briefly, but that's not even anything either. So that's why it has to be more subtropical. It doesn't have that deep heat layer that those hurricanes do, so they thrive on so well. All right, so let's look at the GFS model. We're going to look at some different models now. All right, let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see. All right, and again, moves up to the north and east, makes a close pass to Newfoundland, and then it pretty much just dies out over the next couple days. All right, let's look at those surface winds. GFS pretty much takes it to about winds of maybe 28 or so miles per hour. Pressure at its lowest right about here. Then it starts dying once it heads into Newfoundland. Could even reach the Arctic by the time we reach 5 days. So that'll be somewhere off to watch too. But some models do develop it, at least develop it pretty close to a subtropical storm. This is the Canadian model now. Again, you get some rain around it. It's not fully wrapped. It's not fully organized. Again, this is subtropical, not fully tropical. Now, this moves to the north and east. And then, like all models, bet you by about 2 or 3 days out, this will move up to the north into Newfoundland and pretty much just die out after that. So, some models are focusing in on a Newfoundland landfall. Even regardless if this becomes a subtropical depression or storm, this will bring some rain and wind to Newfoundland if it happens to come on shore. Let's look at the Gen model surface winds. And again, they do bring it pretty close. This is overnight here, 28 knots. That's about 30 or 32 miles an hour. So I'd certainly call that a subtropical depression, but not a storm. All right, and if this does get named, by the way, it would be Dolly. All right, and then here's kind of like your low center centered right here. This is whatever's left of it. You can see there's no wind energy around it either. All the wind energy by the next couple of days will be like fizzing out completely. All right, if we look at this is more of a high resolution model now, the HMON. All right, I do like using this model as well. You can see, but look at precipitation now, it just disappears. It looks better organized now than it will later. All right, we do have a band of heavy rain, even some wind wrapping around the storm to some degree, and then eventually just withers away. But if we look at the winds, that's interesting because they do show winds of peak wind speeds of 32 knots, which is a subtropical depression right on the border. Okay, we need 34 knots for a subtropical storm. So, and those strongest winds will be on that eastern side, even though, the strongest winds are far separated from the storm. That's why it's called subtropical, all right, for a reason. Now let's look at our cyclonic vorticity signature, and you can see that it does look pretty. We do have some strong cyclonic vorticity bands that I'm not gonna put down about the storm either. The storm does have some pretty good cyclonic vorticity values. All right, but then eventually over the next couple of days, notice how it starts to fade away, and then it's eventually gone, just like that in a snap. In case you guys didn't hear that. All right, so HWRF now, another high resolution model as well. You see some heavy rain, but it's again it's not focused near the center of the storm. Obviously, again, it's subtropical for a reason, but it's subtropical doesn't mean the storm can be as disorganized as it wants to be. It has to be a low pressure to some degree. Then this low will be moving north, and eventually, again, like all of the models, over the next 36, 48 hours, just completely weaken. All right, but even after that, all right, this storm has about 12 hours to develop, not even. If this doesn't develop in the next 6 to 12 hours, this won't develop at all, at least into something tropical. It could be a low-pressure system for another 36 hours, maybe, if it gets lucky. All right, but when you look at your radar here, this storm will be falling apart as it moves north. It loses, because it's going to be moving into cold waters, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's going to lose all of that precipitation. This is losing all that intense moisture. All right, HWRF, like the HMON, brings the winds, maximum winds to about 31.4 knots, minimum pressure maybe about 1,010 millibars. It's going to be very close. Like I said, to sum up what all these models are saying, I'd say they call for a subtropical depression, but you look at, here's 5 a.m. Tuesday, the HWRF says 34.5 knots, which I don't quite see where it is. I believe it's somewhere around here or here. But they do say 34.5 knots somewhere, and all you need for a tropical storm or subtropical storm is 34 knots. So HWRF does make this a tropical storm at some point. And they do that at hour 21, which doesn't mean 21 hours from now, but at least because this came out at 12Z this morning. But here you go. There's your intense cyclonic vorticity values. Doesn't look too organized. All right, we're not expecting much from it, but where you could see that potential, where you do see those cyclonic vorticity values, definitely want to watch out, because Newfoundland we could even see a Newfoundland landfall potentially, not out of the question. All right, so again, definitely want to watch out. All right, definitely, because again, treat this like somewhat of a tropical storm. Treat this like a hurricane. Definitely want to take shelter, because we can still see some flood warnings. We can still see some severe warnings from the system if this happens to get a little too close to Newfoundland for comfort. All right, so here is the probability of tropical cyclone genesis here, and you can see that some of these these ensemble models are like the European really do make this 70-80% chance of development plus. So the European is pretty confident in a potential tropical cyclone or subtropical cyclone developing here. All right, so European does make this, or at least increase the chances of a decent storm. We look at the NCEP now. Again, same thing as a European model, I'd say. 80 to 90% chance of a tropical storm or a subtropical storm. There's your region right there where Invest 95L is sitting. I believe Invest 92E is sitting somewhere around here in the East Pacific. All right, but NCEP does give us a good chance to develop as well. And if you look at the NCEP with the model tracks, you see that the models do agree that they will be eventually moving northeast, with the ensemble models giving it an 80% chance of development, but I would give it about a 40 to 50% chance of development based on what I looked at today, just from my perspective. But this could form into a short-lived subtropical storm or depression. So, thank you guys for watching today's video. I'm the Weather Dude, signing off. Till next time. Catch you guys next video.